Good day, everyone. And now let's move on to the continuation of the report about the Monasque supremacy in the Philippines, the Group 7. So, begin.
The following are experts from Marcelo H. del Pilar's La Sobrina Monacal in Filipinas. Its publication in Spain was hailed by Spanish liberals and former Spanish administrators in the Philippines, including former Governor General Emilio Terrero, 1885-1888, and Benigno Quiroga, former Director General of Civil Administration in the Philippines, and such scholars as Miguel Moraita and Ferdinand Blumentritt. Jose Rizal, the most cultured of the reformist group, called Del Pilar's work as one that had no calf, it is all grain. The following translation was made by Dr. Encarnacion Alzona in 1959. Del Pilar was born and brought up in Bulacan. He was suspended at the Universidad de Santo Tomas and imprisoned in 1869 after he and the parish priest quarreled over exorbitant baptismal fees. In the 1880s, he expanded his anti-friar movement from Malolos to Manila. He went to Spain in 1888 after an order of banishment was issued against him. 12 months after his arrival in Barcelona, he succeeded Lopez Jaina as editor of the La Solidaridad or Solidarity publication of newspaper stopped in 1895 due to lack of funds. Losing hope in reforms, he grew favorable of a revolution against Spain. He was on his way home in 1896 when he contracted tuberculosis in Barcelona. He later died in a public hospital and was buried in a pauper's grave. On November 15, 1995, the Technical Committee of the National Heroes Committee, created through Executive Order No. 5 by former President Fidel V. Ramos, recommended Del Pilar along with the 8 Filipino historical figures to be national heroes. The recommendations were submitted to Department of Education Secretary Ricardo T. Gloria on November 22, 1995. No action has been taken for these recommended historical figures. In 2009, this issue was revisited in one of the proceedings of the 14th Congress.
The interference of the friars in the government of the Philippines is so ingrained that without difficulty the friars control the status quo of the country in defiance of the nation and the institution. Parochial mission takes on double character of the political organ of popular patronage. This mission gives the accurate great power in each locality, and this power, as it does not lose in monastic character, is at the command of regular prelates under whose guidance the parish think, preach, confess, and act with marvelous uniformity. Perhaps the guarantee of the moderating power of the parish priest may be self-society to balance and harmonize the interests of the people and institution. But the fact is, the convents are opposed to equilibrium and harmony. The hatred and distrust between both elements constitute the life of the convent. That is the system the friars have so skillfully evolved to be able to rule at the expense of everyone. The basis of monastic wealth is to look union between the people and the government, and it is necessary to foster by fanning and resentment of the first and despotism of the second. They count on the diversity of the language among the rulers and the ruled, to pressure and diversity to impede popular education to avoid any cost that people and government come to understand each other are the best way of keeping them in perpetual antagonism. In the Philippines, religious amortization is very confucius, ignorance and fanaticism, encouraged by the monastic institution and ignoring the claims of blood relations as if they were contrary to divine law, have been responsible. Today, the convents and the millionaire of the country, their large funds cannot be alienated, their land uncultivated with the stimulus of the owners and with discouragement of the part of the tillers. The government finance office relies on the sworn statement of the convents, and what officials would dare verify that Olympic declaration? In the year 1887, the provincial government of Laguna tried to get information about the increase of the income of the lands in Calamba, belonging to the Dominican friars. It found out that the annual income of the 5,000 pesos had been sextupled, amounting to more than 30,000 pesos. The finance office learned about it. The Filipinos pay direct taxes consisting of personal cedula, urban tax, industrial subsidy, and additional municipal tax, provincial tax, and personal loan. And besides, the indirect one of the markets, vehicles, horses, stamps, surcharges, slaughter of cattle, river tolls, and others. Well then, besides direct and indirect taxes, there exist another which, though it does not figure in the financial plan of the Philippines, nevertheless is a burden on her interest.
This is what we call the tax of religious festivals. The Papal Decree of 2 May 1867 aimed to relieve the Filipino Catholics of this burden by reducing the number of feast days and ordering that each diocese have only one patron saint to be named by the Holy See. And in fact, this was done. But it is evident that the will of the Pope is ineffective and impotent so far as the regular carats in the Philippines archipelago are concerned. Each parish church has a tutelary patron of the town besides the patron saint of one or more confraternities, and patron saints of secondary importance venerated in some churches according to the carat's devotion. Their respective saints' day are celebrated with pomp at the expense of people. For each celebration are collected large sums of novena, masses, sermons, processions, music, bands, singers, sacristans, bell-ringing bellmen, curtains, altar, silver candelabra, chandeliers, candles, and the like. During these celebrations, the town people have to keep open house, entertaining lavishly. In addition, there are fireworks of thousands of skyrockets that reduce to smoke the savings of the fervent devout. Aside from these numerous and costly festivals, in every district where 50 families dwell, a chapel is erected at a cost of at least 1,000 pesos. There are some costing 5, 10, and 15,000 pesos. The dues of the stone and the foot of the altar are a legitimate source of revenue of the priesthood. They are not mere alms as they think they are just remuneration. Jesus Christ and common sense declared that he who works deserves to eat. But the exaggerating collection of some dues without the sanction of Jesus Christ hurt the interest of the Catholic and leads them to impious reflections to inquire in the light of economics about the production value of this social element whose manifestations are purely those of the consumer. The Reverend Fathers are empowered to name a person who ought to be deported, and the government solemnly And the government solemnly declares that the Paris Court's opinions of is so that the deportation may not be arbitrary. It's no longer fanaticism that builds this opulence. No, it is fear of the group which has been raised to the power which with no one stroke of the pen or a low whisper can kill the happiness of one who obstructs or thus not cooperate in the development of its exploitation. Bye.
Related to religion. In carrying out their responsibilities, municipal officials, priests, to inform about the behavior of according to the parish, the testimony of 100 members as citizens of Principalia alone is insufficient. The curate's consent is a crucial necessity. The curate's signature is required. The population count in a local government to the recruitment of suitable young guys, formalization of accounts and other papers. The curator's signature is a necessary requirement for everything. On the other hand, there is no law that specifies that approve or retain his approval. The condition under which the doctor, in accordance with his will or his prelate's directives, curate either accepts it or rejects it. Supreme orders are performed.
And now let's move on to the economic aspects. The laws that regulates the foundation and development of convents in the Philippines are undoubtedly based on the belief that monastic life is unproductive. The Philippine government lacks the resources to undertake public works. On the other hand, the monastic orders build grand and costly convents in Manila, and in each parish of 3,000 souls, they elect the auspicious palace for the residence of the regular curate. The government finds thousands of obstacles in collecting taxes from the tax-paying public, but the monastic orders empty without the difficulty the purse of the same public in return for heavenly promises. The government worries about meeting its apparently financial needs, but the monastic treasures are overflowing with money, so their only worries is how to send away from the country their copious savings that foster the banking interest of foreign trade. Experience and economics have shown the need of furloughs of disenchant. The sale of religious objects that rise in the price by reason of priestly blessings constitutes true and indisputable ceremony, and notwithstanding, one of the principal sources of income of the monastic order is the trade in religious objects. The ready-made belt without priestly blessings costs and is sold at 4 or 5 pesos a hundred, but the moment the priest blesses it and the belt passes on to the class of spiritual things and becomes an object of papal and episcopal indulgences, from the moment the price rises 100% at least. And these are the government's examples. Lacks of resources to undertake public works, establishes primary schools in each town, 5,000 obstacles from tax-paying public, monastic orders, build grand convents and spacious palace in curates. Curates has stable place. The public pay because of return for heavenly process. And that's all for our report for today. Thank you and God bless you all. These are the Group 7 signing off.
Naranasan mo na bang ipagpalit? Dahil ang may itsura siya sa iyo ng masigat, at gusto niya din talaga lalo na at magkalapit sa